Said these are observations. If obviously we were provided no level of detail whatsoever, you were not either, and they wanted to leave you to guess as to what he might do, and obviously they focused on what they thought were the positive things. But here's some things that if you piece together what they have revealed, you'll find out. In the original enacted budget, there was $91 million new dollars to ECS. I believe that the governor has cut ECS funding in this most present budget by about $41 million. As you know, in the enacted budget, he promised to restore the clothing and footwear allowance in June 1st of 2015. He's eliminated that promise, but says it's coming in the next fiscal year, the very fiscal year he says he doesn't care about. We don't look at that, unless it's a good thing. For instance, he promised the teachers, I believe that you should not have X amount of your pensions taxed. He got rid of that as well. But it's coming attractions in 26 years. When each of you, as I read, asked the question, what about the out-year deficits, he said, I don't care about 2016. So on the one hand, when it's good, let's look forward to 2016. When the news is bad, we're not going to pay attention to that. But I think the lack of detail begs a lot of questions, and whenever and whoever proposes the detail, they should be asked various questions. For instance, did he restore any money in his budget to the Special Transportation Fund? Did he restore any of the money he swept last year to the Tobacco Fund? Did he restore the Municipal Revenue Sharing Account, the very account that he created in his first budget in office, saying that, yes, I am increasing the sales tax, but I'm doing so to deposit money for municipalities? 2 years later, he wiped it out. Did he restore it? I believe the answer is no. The other thing, you folks, and I learned this from Keith Faniff, the budget guru of your press corps, look at the lapses. What are lapses? Lapses are unspecified savings. It's just like me saying, I believe we're going to save $800 million. Where? I don't know. When? I don't know. But I believe we're going to say it, and it will be so because I say so. Look at that number. See if it's going up. These are the unanswered questions. You might not have liked our budget, Governor, Democrats, maybe even the press, but at least we showed you every single line item of where we got what we got. This governor and these Democrats have not done so. They're saying, trust me, wait, see. They're hopeful. And if they bring this budget out on a Saturday or a Sunday, people will be preoccupied with the Kentucky Derby and won't pay attention to the details. I'm passing out a series of questions that I intend to ask the governor and the Democrats on the floor of the House. I know Senator McKinney does. I would encourage you to ask those very questions and demand answers, not just these general statements about things are good, and if they're bad, we're not going to deal with them until out years. Any questions or comments?
Where's the tax increase?
Tax increase by virtue of the fact that he is eliminating the clothing and footwear exemption 1 month earlier. That's an $11 million tax increase right there. Yeah, the fact that he is eliminating under the enacted budget had clothing and footwear tax exemption put back in on June 1st. He's eliminating that until the next year. That's a $12 million increase in taxes over what he had planned in his own budget just a year ago. Also, again, look very carefully at the ECS money. In the enacted budget, I believe it put 91 million, quote, new dollars in ECS. I think he has taken back at least half that promise. Could be wrong, we don't have the details, but beware of that as well.
What do you both think of his pledge not to raise taxes in the future?
How can you rely on that when he said his words? Let me be clear. I don't care about the out years. So if he doesn't care about the out years, how can we rely on the fact that he will not raise taxes? The deficits are going up by everybody's measurement. The governor is telling us, ignore that. Ignore that number. How can he then make the same statement, however, take this to the bank, I will not raise taxes? The governor reminds us incessantly that he inherited a $3.6 billion budget. That was out-year numbers, which we now don't care about. But anyway, we put forth a budget at that very time that closed that gap completely, honestly, fully vetted by OFA, and did not raise taxes one nickel. So the question is, could that be done? Even if what they're proposing is passed, sure it could be done. You need the political will to do it. Well, here's the thing. I noticed some governor staff around here, and as we know in this game, they're probably going to say, oh, Cafero, McKinney, or blah, 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 blah. Fine. Here's what I asked you to ask them. Show us the details. Don't just say what you did. Show us the details. Did you cut ECS from the enacted budget? Did you increase the lapses? Did you undo things that you said you were going to do? Did you restore the money to the funds that you swept? Did you put the money back to the municipal revenue sharing account, which was your very justification for increasing the sales tax? We don't want to hear it. We want to see it. So when we come forth, you might not like it, but at least we give you the details on how we got there. Let's ask the same.
What, are you guys angry, frustrated, all the above?
I'm always happy, you know? I'm always optimistic, but it is frustrating, and with 5 days left, to have a governor and the two leaders of this General Assembly come out with nothing, no paper, nothing, and say everything's going to be fine, when in fact it's not. So that's comical. No matter whose budget it is, there's $42 million in the surplus for 2014. Period, end of story. Now, they could have intercepted it. I think what they're saying is give us credit for not intercepting it as we've done in the past. We're going to put it directly in the rainy day fund. What they're confusing with a lot of smoke and mirrors and charts that are distorted in size is they're only adding $42 million to the rainy day fund. It brings the total up to less than, 2% of what it should be if it was what many municipalities have, etc. So they're trying to use the bigger number of the cumulative reserve in the rainy day fund. End of story. $42 million they're putting into the rainy day fund.
Yeah, is the Keno revenue estimate, and I've forgotten, like $12 to $15 million in their revenue estimates to balance the budget.
Wait a minute. Why do we have to do all that? This is the most honest, transparent administration in history. Ask them; they'll tell you. Did anyone ask him? Did you get rid of Keno? Did anybody ask him that? What did he say? It's either yes or no. Right? I don't get it. Either you got Keno or you don't. It's not like I forgot. It's only one Keno. We never had it before. Answer the question.